What if I told you that the day you turn 65, you may have become eligible for financial benefits that could save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars every year, yet nobody was legally required to tell you about them? No letter, no phone call, no official reminder. Just money quietly slipping away month after month because a simple form was never filed. That may sound unbelievable, but it happens to millions of Americans every single year. People spend decades working, paying taxes, contributing to programs, and doing everything they were supposed to do. Then retirement arrives, and they assume the system will automatically apply every benefit they qualify for. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. The biggest mistake many retirees make is assuming eligibility automatically means enrollment. In reality, qualifying for a benefit and actually receiving it are often two completely different things. Government agencies generally don't reach out and tell you every exemption, deduction, or savings program you may now qualify for. Instead, the responsibility falls on you to know what exists and take action. That gap between qualifying and claiming is where countless seniors lose money every year. Before we go any further, let's clear up a common misconception. Many people assume financial benefits for seniors are only available to low-income households. Others believe they're designed primarily for wealthy homeowners with large estates and expensive advisors. The truth lies somewhere in the middle. Some programs are especially valuable for retirees living mostly on Social Security. Others benefit homeowners whose properties have significantly increased in value over the years. Some are useful for married couples. Others help single retirees. There are programs for homeowners, renters, and even those who think they earn too much to qualify for assistance. The problem isn't that these opportunities don't exist. The problem is that most people never hear about them. One of the biggest developments affecting retirees involves tax deductions. Every year, millions of Americans file their taxes without fully understanding how age affects their tax situation. Many simply assume they owe whatever the tax software calculates or whatever their preparer tells them. But turning 65 can change things significantly. Additional deductions for older taxpayers can reduce taxable income and potentially lower tax liability. In many cases, married couples benefit even more when both spouses meet the age requirement. The surprising part isn't that these deductions exist. It's how often people fail to verify whether they were actually applied. Think about it. Most people spend more time reviewing a restaurant bill than reviewing their completed tax return. They sign the paperwork, submit it, and move on. Yet a simple oversight, incorrect information, or missed detail could result in paying more tax than necessary. This doesn't mean mistakes happen all the time. Most tax professionals and software programs do an excellent job, but when it comes to your money, verification matters. A few minutes spent reviewing your return could potentially save far more than you expect. Now let's talk about an expense that frustrates retirees across the country: property taxes. For many homeowners, paying off the mortgage feels like reaching the finish line. After years of monthly payments, they finally own their home outright. Then reality sets in. Property taxes continue. In some areas, they continue increasing year after year. For retirees living on fixed incomes, that can create serious financial pressure. Fortunately, many states offer programs specifically designed to reduce that burden. One of the most widely available is the homestead exemption. While details vary depending on location, homestead exemptions generally reduce the taxable value of a primary residence. In simple terms, part of your home's value may be excluded when property taxes are calculated. The result is a lower tax bill. That sounds straightforward, but here's where many homeowners run into trouble. They assume the exemption happens automatically. In many places, it doesn't. Applications may be required, documentation may be necessary, deadlines may apply. Miss the filing process, and the savings never appear. Imagine paying more property tax every year for a decade, simply because nobody told you a one-time application was required. Unfortunately, situations like that happen far more often than most people realize. And the homestead exemption is often just the beginning. Many states offer additional exemptions specifically for seniors. Once a homeowner reaches a certain age, additional reductions may become available. These can further lower the taxable value of a property and reduce annual tax obligations. Yet thousands of eligible homeowners never apply. Not because they don't qualify, not because they don't need the savings, but because they never learn the program exists. Then there's another protection that can be even more valuable for certain homeowners: assessment freezes. This is especially important for retirees who have lived in the same home for many years. Imagine buying a home decades ago in a quiet neighborhood. Over time, the area becomes more desirable. Businesses arrive, development expands, property values rise dramatically. While rising values may increase net worth on paper, they can also lead to higher property taxes. That's where assessment freezes can become powerful. In certain locations, eligible homeowners can limit or freeze how property values are used for tax calculations. This helps protect retirees from major increases driven by rapidly appreciating real estate markets. For someone living on a fixed income, that protection can make an enormous difference over time. What's remarkable is how many people spend years worrying about rising taxes without realizing programs like these may already exist. Again, the obstacle isn't qualification, it's awareness. Healthcare expenses create another major challenge for retirees. Most Medicare beneficiaries know that healthcare costs don't disappear after retirement. In fact, managing medical expenses often becomes one of the largest components of a retirement budget. Many people notice Medicare premiums being deducted from their Social Security payments each month and simply accept those deductions as unavoidable. What often goes unnoticed is that assistance programs exist to help qualifying individuals cover some of those costs. These programs can potentially reduce monthly expenses and improve financial stability. The challenge is that many retirees assume they won't qualify. Perhaps they own a home. Perhaps they have some savings. Perhaps they earn slightly more than they believe assistance programs allow. As a result, they never investigate further. Yet eligibility standards vary and assumptions are frequently wrong. This is why financial counselors and retirement advocates consistently encourage seniors to explore available programs rather than ruling themselves out before checking. The same principle applies to prescription drug costs. Medication expenses can quickly become overwhelming, particularly for individuals managing multiple health conditions. Many retirees spend hundreds of dollars every month on prescriptions. Some spend considerably more. What they don't always realize is that assistance programs may help lower premiums, deductibles, or out-of-pocket medication expenses. Again, these opportunities are often hidden behind unfamiliar terminology, application processes, and eligibility requirements that discourage people from investigating. The result is predictable. Millions pay more than necessary simply because they never learn what help may be available. There's an important lesson emerging here. The biggest financial opportunities in retirement are not always investment strategies or complex financial products. Sometimes the biggest opportunities are benefits that already exist but remain unclaimed. Programs that reduce taxes, programs that lower healthcare costs, programs that help stabilize housing expenses, programs designed specifically to help older Americans maintain financial security. Yet none of those programs can help someone who doesn't know they exist. Another area that often goes overlooked involves monthly household expenses: internet service, phone bills, utility costs. These may seem small compared to taxes or healthcare expenses, but retirement budgeting is often about cumulative savings. Reducing several expenses at once can create meaningful improvements in monthly cash flow. A discount here, a credit there, a reduced bill somewhere else. Individually, the savings may appear modest. Collectively, they can make a noticeable difference. That's particularly true for retirees carefully managing fixed incomes. Every dollar saved is a dollar that remains available for food, transportation, healthcare, emergencies, or future needs. Perhaps the most important takeaway is this: retirement benefits rarely arrive fully assembled. Many people assume the system automatically identifies every opportunity they're entitled to receive. In reality, retirement often requires proactive action. Questions must be asked. Eligibility must be verified. Applications must be submitted. Records must be reviewed. The individuals who benefit most are often those who remain informed and engaged. They don't assume. They verify. They don't ignore notices. They read them. They don't assume someone else is handling everything. They confirm. That approach can mean the difference between paying unnecessary expenses and keeping more of the money you've earned throughout your lifetime. And as you'll see in the next part, some of the most overlooked opportunities involve mistakes retirees make year after year without ever realizing it. These hidden financial traps can quietly cost hundreds or even thousands of dollars, yet most are surprisingly easy to fix once you know where to look. Because sometimes the difference between financial stress and financial stability isn't earning more money. It's simply stopping money from leaving your pocket unnecessarily in the first place. One of the costliest mistakes retirees make isn't paying too much tax, overpaying for healthcare, or missing a discount program. It's assuming that because they've been doing something the same way for years, it must still be the right approach today. Retirement changes more than your daily routine. It changes how income is taxed, how benefits interact with one another, and how financial decisions affect your long-term security. Yet many people continue operating under rules that made sense decades ago, but no longer fit their current situation. Take tax withholding as an example. For years, workers become accustomed to seeing taxes automatically deducted from paychecks. It becomes routine. Then retirement arrives. Income sources change, deductions change, tax obligations change, but the withholding often stays exactly the same. As a result, some retirees continue sending more money to the government than necessary throughout the year. When tax season arrives, they receive a refund and feel relieved. However, that refund is often money that could have remained in their bank account all year long. While receiving a refund isn't inherently bad, it may indicate that monthly cash flow could have been stronger. For retirees living on fixed incomes, having access to that money throughout the year can sometimes be more valuable than receiving it back later. This is why periodic reviews become so important. Retirement is not a one-time financial event. It's an ongoing process that requires occasional adjustments. Another overlooked area involves surviving spouses. When one spouse passes away, families often focus on immediate emotional and practical concerns. Understandably, tax exemptions, property classifications, and benefit paperwork are rarely top priorities during such a difficult time. Unfortunately, that's also when mistakes frequently occur. Various benefits, exemptions, and protections may require updates, transfers, or new applications after a spouse's death. Some continue automatically, others do not. The problem is that many surviving spouses assume everything remains unchanged. Months later, or even years later, they discover benefits were lost, exemptions expired, or savings opportunities disappeared, simply because the necessary paperwork was never filed. These situations are especially frustrating because the benefits often remain available. The issue isn't eligibility. The issue is administration. A simple filing requirement can determine whether valuable protections remain in place. Vehicle-related fees provide another example of benefits that often go unnoticed. Most people pay registration fees, local vehicle taxes, or related charges year after year without thinking much about them. It's simply another bill that arrives. However, some states and local governments offer reduced fees, exemptions, or discounts for older residents. The savings may not seem dramatic compared to property taxes or healthcare costs, but they still matter. Retirement financial planning isn't always about finding one giant source of savings. More often, it's about reducing multiple expenses simultaneously. A little less here, a little less there. Over time, those reductions add up. This is particularly true when inflation remains elevated. Many retirees have experienced firsthand how quickly everyday expenses can rise. Groceries cost more, utilities cost more, insurance costs more, services cost more. When income remains relatively stable while expenses continue climbing, preserving every possible dollar becomes increasingly important. That's why awareness is such a powerful financial tool. Unfortunately, many retirees never receive clear explanations regarding available benefits. Instead, they encounter complicated forms, technical terminology, and confusing eligibility requirements. Faced with that complexity, many simply give up. They assume the process isn't worth the effort. or they assume they probably won't qualify anyway. Those assumptions can become expensive. One of the most common patterns financial counselors observe involves people disqualifying themselves before anyone else does. They decide they earn too much. They decide they own too many assets. They decide a program is probably meant for someone in a worse situation, so they never apply. The irony is that many assistance programs have eligibility standards that are broader than people expect. Some focus primarily on income, others consider age, some vary by state, others depend on household size or specific circumstances. The only reliable way to know whether you qualify is to check. Making assumptions rarely helps. Verification does. Another important issue is information sharing. Many retirees discover valuable opportunities not from official agencies, but from neighbors, friends, relatives, or community organizations. Someone mentions a property tax exemption during a conversation. A friend discusses healthcare savings they recently qualified for. A neighbor talks about a utility assistance program. Suddenly, information that was completely unknown becomes available. This highlights an important reality. Retirement planning is not just about numbers, it's also about knowledge. The more informed you are, the better positioned you become to make effective decisions. That doesn't mean becoming an expert in tax law, healthcare regulations, or government programs. It simply means staying curious and asking questions. Questions often lead to opportunities, and opportunities often lead to savings. Think about how many retirees spend years carefully comparing grocery prices, searching for discounts, and budgeting household expenses. Those efforts are valuable. But what if a single overlooked exemption could save more money than months of coupon clipping? What if one application could reduce a recurring expense year after year? What if a simple review could uncover benefits already available under existing laws? Those possibilities are exactly why awareness matters. The most expensive financial mistakes are not always dramatic. They are often quiet. They happen in the background. No alarm sounds. No warning appears. Money simply continues leaving your pocket month after month, sometimes for years. The encouraging news is that many of these mistakes can be corrected. A phone call may reveal an overlooked benefit. A tax review may uncover a missed deduction. A conversation with a local agency may identify assistance programs that reduce ongoing expenses. None of these actions guarantee eligibility, but failing to investigate guarantees nothing changes. Retirement should not be about unnecessarily overpaying for things that have available reductions, protections, or assistance programs attached to them. It should be about maximizing the resources you've worked so hard to build. And that begins with understanding what options exist. Perhaps the biggest lesson from everything we've discussed is this: no one cares about your financial future as much as you do. Government agencies administer programs, tax authorities enforce regulations, healthcare systems process claims, but none of them are responsible for actively managing your personal finances. That responsibility belongs to each individual. The good news is that taking control often starts with surprisingly simple steps. Review your property tax situation. Review your healthcare costs. Review your tax return. Review recurring expenses. Ask questions when something isn't clear. Verify assumptions. Explore available programs. These actions may seem small individually, but together, they create a powerful financial strategy. Because every dollar saved is a dollar that remains available for your future. Every reduced expense strengthens financial flexibility. Every overlooked benefit that gets claimed improves long-term security. And every informed decision increases confidence. Retirement should be a time when decades of hard work begin paying dividends. A time when financial resources are used wisely and efficiently. A time when people benefit from protections and programs designed specifically to support older Americans. Yet that can only happen when those benefits are understood and claimed. The reality is simple. Many opportunities already exist. Many savings programs are already available. Many exemptions are already written into law. The challenge is finding them before another year passes. Because once a year is gone, the missed savings from that year are often gone as well. That's why taking action sooner rather than later matters. Not because every program will apply to every person, but because every person deserves the chance to know what options may be available. And the retirees who ask questions today are often the ones who keep more of their money tomorrow. If there's one message to remember from everything you've heard, it's this: never assume you're already receiving every benefit you qualify for. Never assume someone else checked on your behalf. Never assume a missed opportunity will automatically correct itself. Verify, review, ask questions, and stay informed. Because the difference between paying more than necessary and keeping more of your hard-earned money is often much smaller than people think. Sometimes it's a phone call, sometimes it's an application, sometimes it's a conversation, and sometimes it's simply knowing that a benefit exists in the first place. The people who benefit most aren't always the wealthiest or the most financially sophisticated. They're often the people who take the time to learn what's available and then act on that information. That approach has helped countless retirees strengthen their finances, reduce unnecessary expenses, and gain greater peace of mind. And it can do the same for anyone willing to take that first step. USA Claim Rights.